purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
Welcome in, Hoist the Colors, on a Thursday, March 27th. It is opening day for Major League Baseball. Happy opening day to all those who celebrate. We'll get into that, I'm sure. Some over the course of the next hour. It's also Sweet 16 Thursday. The Sweet 16 gets underway later today as well. That will carry into the Elite Eight this coming weekend. We'll break that down. We've got East Carolina baseball traveling to Rice this weekend. That series will get underway on Friday. And the basketball portal has been open for a handful of days, so we'll get into that. We haven't really had a chance to discuss the return of Jordan Riley, who else has left, and also maybe some names in the portal, what positions we want to see ECU address going forward. We'll get into all that and more on this Thursday edition of Hoist the Colors. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and if you got a question, comment, or concern, drop it there. We'll get to it over the course of the next hour. Let's introduce today's cast. We've got Brady Thomas, Hoist the Colors intern in studio. He's a big Kentucky guy, so I know he's fired up about Kentucky, Tennessee coming up this weekend. Brady, welcome in.
Of course, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can't complain, and looking forward to getting your insight on the Sweet 16, also Pirate basketball, the changes there. We've got Philip Pilkington behind the glass as well. Philip, happy opening day.
Happy opening today to you two gentlemen as well.
Yeah, we'll have a brief opening day segment at some point and maybe talk about some of the Pirates who they're expected to open up with as well. But, gentlemen, let's start with some hoops because, like I said, we just haven't we've been busy with – we had our MLB preview Tuesday. We had baseball recap Monday. Yesterday we talked about the baseball loss to Duke, the ejections, all that sort of stuff. We have not really discussed in spring football. We have not really discussed the basketball portal. So let's get into that, and we'll start with the overall take from an ECU perspective. You know, I would say, generally speaking, not that you had a lot of threats to go guys to the portal, but like this has gone about as well as you, let me knock on wood, as well as you could hope thus far, retaining Jordan Riley and, you know, Jay Woodard, everything. Your thoughts, Brady, on what we've seen from the portal thus far?
Yeah, I think it's gone just about as expected. Some of the guys that had minutes early in the season and then kind of were put out of the rotation have entered the portal, and I think that's kind of what you would expect from ECU. And retaining, basically, a head coach for sure, and I would say most of the coaching staff, you're kind of expected to keep your core roster other than the guys that had graduated, to be honest. So I think it's gone, like you said, just about as well as expected for ECU. And I think the portal should be interesting here in the next few months.
So for those who haven't been following along, so ECU to this point has lost to the portal Julian Samaro, who was a guard who basically, I don't want to say quit, but quit playing at least. He was still on the team after 8 games, so he was expected to enter the portal. Sierra Malonga, who was, you know, second big man in the rotation. Callum Richard, who was the third big man in the rotation behind freshman Reed Kaysen by the end of the year. Ben Salvungo, who was essentially your fifth option at the wing. He barely played, and I think I'm missing one. Jan Farrell. Jan Farrell really I guess you could say the big one, although I'm told they didn't really pony up any NIL money to keep him. He had a 3-point shot, but averaged 18 minutes a game, 5 points, 2 rebounds per game. Kind of was underwhelming. And then ECU has kept Jordan Riley. They've kept Travion LeBeau. They've kept Jay Woodard. Those guys have announced a return. Philip, your thoughts on what we've seen thus far with ECU and how it's been impacted by the portal?
You kept the 4 you want to keep. You kept your best player, still left, Jordan Riley, the guy you hope's your number 3 next year. You kept your glue guys, your hustle guys, your team chemistry guys in Jay Woodard and Travion LeBeau. And you kept your guy who was a freshman who you think can make the biggest jump from year 1 to year 2. And the only reason I think he was not even more part of this rotation this year was because he got on campus late. He dealt with some injuries during developmental time, and by the time he was kind of ready to go, games had started. This is going to be a huge offseason for him. So you kept the 4 most important guys so far, knock on wood. As far as I'm concerned, those are the most 4 important. You've kept them. Now it's time to go out there and add to them.
So those 4 guys obviously on scholarship. Dahi Quinn is a freshman recruit who will be coming on scholarship. That's 5. Obviously, you get 13 scholarships in men's basketball. Mm-hmm. The only scholarship player who has not announced really anything at this point is LaDante Felton, R.J. Felton's younger brother. And I don't know what his status will be. He redshirted this past season, more of a developmental guy. You also have Tybo Bailey, who was a walk-on but was basically getting NIL money to cover his scholarship, from my understanding. So let's say all those guys are scholarship players. That would give you 7 and leave you 6 spots to add to the roster. Now, of course, we'll see what happens with LaDante and Tybo. So you have at least 6 spots to use. We don't know the NIL number today. I do know ECU feels like it'll be in a good spot competitively in the American Athletic Conference. So, like, the numbers being thrown out there are pretty crazy in NIL land, I'm hearing. But for you guys, like, if you had to pick one position or skill set for this team to add at the top, what would be most important? We'll start with you, Brady, if you had to pinpoint one thing.
I mean, I think I got to go the obvious answer and go a guard for shooting. I mean, Jordan Riley could play point, and then I think you got to go shooting guard or somebody, because Jordan Riley's good enough to penetrate the floor and create spacing, I feel like. And I just think you got to go shooter, but I wouldn't be opposed to getting almost like a stretch 5-ish type of guy. Not sure how many there are out there, but I think EC would benefit on that as well. Just spacing the floor, honestly, is something they had an issue with as well as shooting. So just something like that.
I think generally, I mean, number one on my skill set has to be shooting because, look, you look at Woodard, not really a shooter. Riley, not a shooter. Trayvon LeBeau, not a shooter. And so right now you look at the roster, you've got no floor spacing. So I think really if I'm recruiting 3 guys from the portal right now, all of them need to be able to shoot, whether it's a point guard, whether it's a shooting guard, whether it's a stretch 4. That's at the top of my list. I'm not even really recruiting him unless he can shoot.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's an obvious answer, but I think it's the go-to answer.
I mean, because you think about it, Philip, like you look at last year's roster or stats, ECU shot 31% from 3 as a team, 31.6 to be exact. That was one of the lowest numbers in the American. They did get better the second half of the year, but you've since lost R.J. Felton, who was a 38% three-point shooter. You lost Jan Farrell, who was a 35% three-point shooter. So your 2 best three-point shooters are gone. You weren't good at shooting threes to begin with, so they've got to get some shooters. Any thoughts on what position you would target first for this?
Well, I can sound like a broken record and agree with everything you guys just said. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be my answer, right? So let's just kind of go on to the next thing, I guess. And what else do we need? I'm with you. Those top 2 or 3 guys you go after 100% be able to shoot the rock. Even if they're a point guard first, even if they're a shot creator first, they got to be able to shoot. After that, I think you need another big man. I hope Reed Kaysen makes a huge jump to year 1 to year 2. I think the staff can develop him. You need another big, whether it be a starting 5 or a 4 who can play with him. To Brady's point, a stretch 4 would be really nice. So that would kind of fall into the shooting range. But you still need some more size. Look, this is not the biggest conference. You know, you're not having to guard a team that's going to have 2 7-footers. But I didn't love that our tallest player in our starting lineup last year was 6'8". And I'm not saying you got to go out there and get a 7-footer, 7'1" guy. Let's be honest. If you're that tall and you're worth the darn, you're in the Power 5. But if we could go get a really good 6'10" kid, you know, can score on the low block, can defend the rim. I mean, when's the last time ECU had a guy they could just feed it into, and he had 4 or 5 different post moves that just worked?
Like Darius Morrow in like 2010.
Exactly.
I mean,
We need somebody that can score on a low block. Look, I love shooting, but at the end of the day, highest percentage shot is a dunk.
I'm with you. Casey O'Malley in the chat says Dahi Quinn still coming. Yeah, Dahi Quinn is the freshman from Tabor Academy. Rated, he's a 6'4", 200-pound guard, 88 3-star. He's not really a shooter. He's more of a slasher, which is typical of ECU. I feel like we get the most slashers in college basketball.
Dude, why don't we run the Princeton-style offense? I'm okay with slashers, but the problem is we had slashers and no floor spacing.
Yep, I agree. I mean, look,
Run the Princeton offense.
I like Quinn. I think he can shoot a little bit, but that's like not his A game. His game is getting to the rim. I don't think he's a point guard. I think he can handle a little bit. You know, if I could draw up a guy that would be an ideal fit, it would be Samaje Till, who is a Farmville Central product. He is in the portal, so if you're not familiar with Samaje Till, here's his story. And probably realistically, ECU is priced out right now unless he wants to give ECU a hometown discount. But I'm just saying this is the type of player I would try to target. 6'2" point guard, veteran player. Last year for Indiana State. First off, he started at Winston-Salem State. Good numbers there. Transferred to Presbyterian. Good numbers there. Transferred to Indiana State. Good numbers there. Now he's probably going up another level. 16.9 points per game, 167 assists as a point guard to 102 turnovers. Shot 79% from the line, 35% from three-point range on a high volume. Good steal numbers, little undersized, but he's a veteran player. He's a scorer first point guard who can distribute. And if you get this type of guy, I'm not saying you got to get Samaje Till. I'm just saying he's a local product. He's probably going to have a ton of suitors, probably priced out. This is the type of guy I'm targeting first and foremost. I think if you get the point guard that can score all of a sudden and stretch the floor, that gives Jordan Riley more room to operate. That gives, let's say, a stretch four, if you land one of those, more room to operate, more floor spacing. But this is the type of player I'm prioritizing. Brady, would you be for or against this type of player? Not saying Samaje Till, but just a point guard who can take over the game.
Yeah, it's exactly because you're losing the guy that would take over the game, and now you need a guy who can do basically everything on the floor like RJ could do. RJ could get to the rim. RJ shot 38% from three this year. So you're going to need a takeover guy late because, I mean, we saw RJ do it time and time again. And to be fair, nobody else really stepped up in that position. CJ was here and there, but it's just more so the point guard and RJ. So that's exactly what ECU needs in the portal is somebody that could take over and somebody that could shoot the three.
If you could make it in a lab, Philip, I would go, or like if it was easy as it sounds, I would go score first point guard, stretch four who can shoot a three, and a big. I mean, if you could add that to Jordan Riley and some of these other pieces come back, I think you would have a good five. But I mean, it's not that easy, unfortunately.
No, it's not. You know, it's so weird, right? This whole portal thing. There's so many guys in it. The tough thing is because there's so many guys in it, there's so many teams that need to fill the portal spots in which they lost. That's what makes this tough. And, you know, we talk about it every year. Hey, X amount of guys left in the portal, couldn't find a home. There's obviously a reason. So the other thing is, where are we in the pecking order? Well, right now, I hate to say it, the SEC's first. And then the ACC, or probably actually the Big Ten. Then the Big 12, then the ACC, then the Big East, then the A10, then the Mountain West, then it's us. That's the tough part right now. And when you talk about shooters, there's only so many of them. You know, the guys, there's plenty of guys who are like good role players in the portal. And you can get those guys. And those guys are great to have. Like you said, we might have 6 spots to fill. If we can go out and create those 3 you're talking about, I'm okay getting 3 just tough role players, give you good minutes, play defense. The offense flows well when they're on the court. But that's 95% of the portal. And guess where the shooters are going? Going to Kansas.
They're going
Duke.
for the money.
Yeah, they're going to big time contracts with blue bloods and a bunch of banners hanging in the gym, and that ain't us.
And I mean, you can look at schools across the country. I mean, you're going to have to be creative and patient. But look at some of the programs in the tournament that landed older transfers who were maybe off the radar, a little undersized, coming back from injuries. Or if you're ECU and you have, as Chuck adds, how many players will we get in the basketball portal and approximately how much does ECU have to spend? Let's say we've talked about it. We don't know the exact number, but I think ECU will be, after rev share and after some of the things I've been hearing, will be over $1 million, let's just say. If that happens, you can splurge on one or two impact players and then build it out from there. Or you could pay 5 different players $200,000. However you want to approach it, that's up to the coaching staff and the collective. But, you know, depending on that, you should be able to get some sort of impact talent. Now, last year, you landed Jordan Riley over Texas Tech. I think there were some circumstances there where Tech didn't have Riley as high as ECU did. ECU maybe guaranteed him a starting role. Similar money probably. They ended up getting Jordan Riley. C.J. Walker, same type of deal. He had some health issues. ECU took a bit of a gamble, paid him less, but Walker wanted to go somewhere he was comfortable. He was initially committed to TCU, comes to ECU because ECU was not scared of his injury history. So you have to take some gambles. You got to be creative, Brady, but that doesn't mean you're always going to hit. But I do like this scenario of, all right, you have 6 spots to fill. I'm using all that on transfers because you get as many older players as possible. If you take freshmen, they're just more than likely going to need time. Whereas transfers, if you miss on 1 or 2, if you take 6, then that doesn't hurt you as bad. Yeah,
ECU's going to be better off in the portal for sure rather than recruiting a bunch of freshmen, to be honest, because I mean, when the freshmen that ECU are getting aren't necessarily ready to go on day one. They're going to develop a little and maybe a slow start. So the portal is 100% better off. And this is probably a terrible comparison, but you look at a school like Drake, they probably have a lot more NIL money than we do and whatever. But their whole roster was D2 last year with a Division II coach pretty much. And look at the success that they've had. It's just kind of confusing to me how we can't be in that position sometimes. So,
their whole roster next year will be Iowa's roster.
Yeah,
Yep.
At least recruit half of that would be okay for ECU. So, I don't know.
It's interesting, man, and you got to know what's your system. The other thing too is this year, and I'm interested to talk about this with Coach Schwartz when I get the chance to sit down with him. Like, ECU statistically ranked near the bottom of the league in several defensive categories, specifically 3-point percentage defense. They gave up 38% from beyond the arc. So, does ECU, we know Mike Schwartz has a background as a defensive coach, are they now going away from, hey, we're instead of recruiting a bunch of long athletic wings who maybe can't shoot, do you just abandon that to an extent and go more, let's just go for more offense? I mean, I don't know if we talked about it, I don't think you're ever going to be able to build a dominant defense at East Carolina. So how do you adjust to that as time goes on?
What you got to do is, you can't ask a coach to change what he values. You can't ask him to change as a man, as a coach. And so you got to have guys that hustle and play deep, but it doesn't mean that you can't find guys who are good offensive output and really good basketball players that don't buy into a defensive mindset. You just need the mentality of defensive guys. So I understand, you got to try your best to go into the head of a young man, figure out, what he values. Does he value the hard work, defense on and off the ball? But at the end of the day, too, got to win games. If you lose games, you don't coach very long, right? So I think Coach Schwartz this year kind of realized that going into this past season. Look, you can build that defensive mindset, and it works once you've established a program, once people want to come play for you. Virginia won with a defensive mindset. Tennessee wins with a defensive mindset. Well, Rick Barnes is a household name. Tony Bennett was a household name. Unless you're talking college baseball, ain't nothing about East Carolina a household name right now. So I think you just got to put yourself on the map. You can still stay true to your identity, but you got to do what it takes. And then, if you come out and you're a great mid-major program, become the next San Diego State. They're in a tournament every year. They would have been a 1 seed or maybe a 2 the year of COVID. Not saying that you're going to be that good, but, when you build a program like San Diego State or somebody like that, then you can become a hey, you know what? We're defense first. This is how we do things. And then because you're a big enough name that people want to come to you.
All right, let's go ahead and get a break in before we get too behind here. We'll continue some ECU basketball talk. We got some more comments. We also already have a former ECU basketball player that has found a home in the portal. We'll tell you about that. An outgoing player who has found a new home. More on the other side as well. We'll get into the Sweet 16. We'll talk some baseball at some point as well. This is Hoist the Colors.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Are you ready to tackle those yard and garden projects? Come by East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, your local Coyote dealer, and check out their great selection of residential and commercial Coyote tractors. From zero-turn mowers to compact tractors to skid steer loaders, they've got you covered. Some with 0% financing for qualified buyers. Stop by your hometown Coyote dealer, East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, across from the Pitt County Fairgrounds or online at ectfleet.com. East Carolina Tractor and Fleet. We dig dirt.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. We've got some comments we'll get to in a second. I did want to expand a little bit more. By the way, Scott Rogers in the chat, he's got a message for Brady Thomas, Hoist the Colors intern. He says, "Hey Brady, I miss you," with a kissing emoji.
Hey, yo.
It's a little much, Scott, but hey, we miss you too, Scooter. Hope you're doing well
Of course.
over in Little League land. You're welcome to stop by at any point, Scooter. All right, I did want to hit on. We didn't really touch on like the specific of Jordan Riley returning. Like that is a big deal from the standpoint of, I don't know how much ECU's paying him, but if you would have lost Riley, it would feel like almost like a total rebuild. Whereas now you kind of have I'm not saying he's going to be your number one scoring option, Brady, but you know what you're getting. Defensive guy, elite in transition, elite athlete. Like if you're Mike Schwartz, that's a big check mark already.
Yeah, already part of the glue, the core of what next year will be. So, retaining him is great. I would assume they would definitely have upped his NIL from last offseason. But yeah, I think that's going to be a core part of the team next year. And he was down the stretch. He was great. I mean, he had a few. I think he had a near 30-point game somewhere down the stretch. I can't exactly remember.
Games where teams were trying to take away RJ and double Walker, he could take over because
And
he's so physical.
He's terrific in transition as well. Can run the floor, very quick guy. Yeah, but he'll be core piece of the next year's squad. I'm kind of excited to watch and see how he develops because off season, I mean, you never know. You're not going to become a 44% free throw or 3-point shooter, but he could develop maybe a little mid-range shots, a few open threes. Be good to see what he has in the bag for this offseason.
Philip, for you, I think Trayvon LeBeau kind of is what he is at this point. Like, he's going to be a defensive guy. He might can develop a little more offense, but he's just not an offensive player. Do you agree with this statement that Woodard has the highest potential of the group coming back in terms of growth? Like, I think Riley kind of is what he is at this point to an extent. Like, Woodard, to me, is the guy who could take a massive leap next year if it all comes together.
For me, it's between Woodard and Kaysen. And that's only because, like I said, Kaysen really didn't get the offseason, that developmental time that's so important for collegiate athletes or any athlete going to the next level, he didn't get. And I think if he does develop into a low block scorer, he can be dangerous. So I think Jay has the best chance at developing. But I think Kaysen may be the guy that it's like, man, if he makes the jump, it could be the most impactful for the team. Because I don't think Jay 100% is what he is, but he's always going to be the hustle guy, the glue guy. Yeah, he could develop a 3-point shot and be decent, maybe score a little more. But what he is if there's a loose ball on the floor, I'm betting on Jay Woodard. That's his game. It's that, hey, I can really play good off-ball defense and on-ball defense on the perimeter. But Kaysen was advertised as a true low-block scorer coming out of high school. I'm ready to see that.
Johnny Stat says Jordan Riley had the 18th best single-season point production, 480, in Pirate basketball history. So that kind of shows as a third scorer how dynamic he was. You have something to add?
Yeah, and then he'll definitely make the leap from that.
I think he'll be
put him in the top 10, possibly
for sure next year.
Yeah.
Hunter says, get a room, Scooter. Kaysen O'Malley says, Kaysen is the future of the program. I think he's trying to be a little facetious there because his name is Kaysen as well. Lane Smith, who is notorious, I don't want to say basketball hater, but he's not getting on the hype train. He says, PSA, ECU basketball will always be underwhelming. The trick is to not care. Just focus on football and basketball. I think he's saying baseball. Yeah, just focus on football and baseball, and your feelings will only be hurt sometimes. I would argue, this year has basketball outperformed baseball to this point? Is that an inaccurate statement?
Well, the basketball season's
to expectations?
Over. The basketball season's over. This percentage into basketball season, we were thinking the same thing we were thinking this percentage into baseball season. We were thinking,
yeah, that's true.
We just lost to Gardner-Webb. We just lost North Alabama. But the way basketball ended, based off the preseason expectations compared to where baseball is now compared to the preseason expectations, yeah, I would say basketball went above and beyond, and baseball is slightly underperforming.
And like you said, still half a season to go for baseball, if not more. So a lot of time to get it corrected. But yeah, I know, Lane, you're not a basketball guy, but bear with us here. We're trying.
It's almost done.
I did tease that ECU had a player already commit to another team from the portal. That is Julian Samaro. No real big surprise here. As Johnny Stats pointed out earlier, he is going back to Western Carolina to reunite with Tim Kraft, who he originally played for at Gardner-Webb, former ECU assistant under Jeff Lebo. Tim Kraft is a great coach. I think that's a great fit for Samaro and for Coach Kraft. And no real big surprise there. I am interested to see where Jan Farrell lands because, guys, he was a 2-year starter at St. Bonaventure, which was like a borderline top 100 team, and he had good numbers. He comes to ECU, and just for whatever reason, it never clicked. He is kind of a one-dimensional player, but I don't know. Like, I think there's more there. It's just where does he go after a subpar year at ECU? Back to the A10? I don't know.
I think he fits the mold a little bit of an A-Sun player, right? The A-Sun loves to cross half court and jack threes. Obviously, he didn't shoot as well as we wanted him to this year, but I think if he wants to get a shot back, playing some smaller gyms, I mean, there's a reason people were picking Lipscomb as a potential first-round upset. You know, I talk about with Cy, anytime we got an A-10 team, it's like, man, don't let them get hot, you know, when they come in here. We saw it in North Alabama. So I think, you know, he's got the talent to go to a better conference like the A-10 or even, you know, could get him the Mountain West or something. But, man, if he really wants to, like, show out, I could see him at an A-Sun program.
We'll see where Jan Farrell lands. Always interesting to see in this era where former Pirates go from location to location. We'll get a break and we'll talk Sweet 16 in a minute, but I do want to give you a second, Brady, because James Giglio, Philip, and I talked spring football yesterday. You were out there at Coach Harrell's press conference on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. What big storylines are you watching this spring for the football team? Is really, you could almost go any direction with that answer.
Yeah, excited to see what the running back room can accomplish this season. I was big on Montgomery kind of later in the season. I believe he could be a legit player. He's got the speed, and he the few times that he broke through the hole, he looked pretty electric. Yeah, because I know we didn't see much of Javius Bond towards the back half of the season, and he kind of took over that role, I would kind of say. But, yeah, I'm kind of excited what the running back room can do. And then it'll be interesting to see what the cornerback room can accomplish. We got thin there at the end of the season with injuries, transfer portal, and all of the above. So I'll be interested to see kind of what talent is going to be playing because, boy, they're going to have some tough guys to guard throughout the season. So I'll be interested to see what they could do there, and then just see how Hauser can get back in a year two with JDB. It's going to be showtime, I hope.
A lot of good running back. I think they may be deeper at running back this year. I don't know if you have the number one because London Montgomery, I've heard very good things about transfers, Parker Jenkins and DeJuan Lacey as well.
Yeah, I forgot about this too.
The corner room, yeah, I mean, they loaded up with transfers, so we'll see who develops there. Mm-hmm. All right. Johnny Robertson did say that was Johnny Basketball, Johnny Gardner, that pointed out that Julian Samara transfer news, not me. So I didn't realize we have multiple Johnnies in the chat. We got Johnny Stats and Johnny Gardner. So I'll make that correction. My bad, Johnny Gardner. And, so we got some baseball comments from Lane Smith as well. We'll get to that on the other side. We'll talk opening day. We've got Sweet 16 discussion as well. And Casey Ramelli adds Jan Farrell as a CAA player. I think he's a little better than that, but we'll see where he lands. We'll be right back after this.
Hey, it's Jim Wells again with Wells Roofing and Gutters here in the beautiful community of Lindale, Bedford. At Wells Roofing and Gutters, we believe in quality first. And that's why we use Certainty shingles, which are manufactured in Oxford, North Carolina, a local company. In the event you ever do have a claim or a problem with your roof system, they're local and they come and take care of us in a timely manner. We could leave off some accessories and we could certainly save money, but we believe at Wells Roofing and Gutters in installing the correct way per manufacturer requirements, and we warranty your roof both in-house and also with our supplier, who is Certainteed. For a job well done, no shortcuts taken, and a good quality job on your home, give us a call today, 252-227-8403. We also offer financing, 12 months, no interest, no payments.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
We're live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. Brady Thomas, Philip Hilkinen alongside Stephen Igo here. MLB opening day. We'll get to that in a minute. We also got some comments on ECU baseball. We'll try and get to that as well. We'll talk a lot of ECU baseball tomorrow, heading to the weekend Rice series. Sweet 16 preview, gentlemen. Let's get this discussion in. 4 games today. BYU, Alabama, Maryland, Florida, Arizona, Duke, Arkansas, Texas Tech. We'll start with the Thursday slate. Action gets underway. The old 7:09 Eastern tip-off tonight on CBS between BYU and Bama. I know Philip said this was the game he's kind of looking forward to outside of Duke, Arizona. What about you, Brady, for today's slate? What intrigues you?
Yeah, BYU Bama. Battle of the Shooters, highest total in a Sweet 16, I believe, since 2000, I read.
Are y'all going to bet the over here?
170.5 or 175.5 is what I'm seeing on ESPN. That is steep.
There was a game last year where everybody said it was going to hit the over with Bama, I think, in the tournament, and it did not. So
Bama has not looked as sharp in this tournament as I think many were expecting.
They're just freaking loaded, though, man. Sears and, like, having young blood as just a shooter.
Yeah, and LeBaron Philon off the bench is unfair.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I don't see BYU slowing them down, but I don't know. I mean, it should be a fun game. That's a good way to start the night.
Not
though.
sure who's slowing who down.
Yeah, this is true.
Tough thing is if one team's cold, it can get bad.
Yeah.
What's good for these two teams is this game is being played in a normal arena. The Midwest region, and this is not till tomorrow, is actually being played in Lucas Oil Stadium, something they did do for a while where they put the regionals in football stadiums as well, and they've since went away from it. But this is the oddity where they are actually going to have one of the 4 regions in a football stadium, and we know how that affects three-point shooting. So that game being in a normal arena, obviously bigger than a college basketball arena, I think they'll be fine. But if one team gets cold, man, this game's a blowout. You got to shoot the ball well.
Maryland and Florida will be the 7:39 game. Florida has just looked incredible. Maryland, I mean, they have a shot here, guys, but do we think the Crab 5, which I can't stand saying that, but do we think the Crab 5 comes to an end here, Brady?
Yes, and it should. Because
isn't their coach leaving or something? Like, isn't there a report out there?
Talks with Villanova, I believe. And get the Crab 5 out of here. They should not have won the last game, and that was a travel. Yeah. So go ahead and get them out of here. Blow them out, to say the least. I think Florida could very well do that.
What do you think about this game, Philip?
Florida should handle business, but, you know, everything going on in the Maryland program, like Brady said, there's turmoil. It just sounds like something from March. They're going to hang in there and make it close. But I think Florida has survived their scare, at least for now, that they survived the other night against Auburn, and they should probably kind of walk to the Final Four at least.
Gators a 6.5-point favorite. Then you have Duke, Arizona, rematch from earlier in the season. That'll be a 9:39 tip-off, 31 minutes before the Mariners throw out the first pitch against the A's. So late night for me and Philip. The Blue Devils won in Arizona, 69-55, way back early in the season, November. In that game, Caleb Love for Arizona went, 3 of 13 from the field, 1 of 9 from three-point range, 8 points. Single digits. I know you were saying Tyrese Proctor from Duke's going to lock him up, but there's no way he's getting held to single digits again, right?
No, he's not. And Duke doesn't need him to be held to single digits. They just need him to not take over the basketball game. And, Duke is a great defensive team. That's why – and Coach Shire wants to be a good defensive team. That's why he picked up Malik Brown in the portal. That's why he went out and got Sion James in the portal. And speaking of Malik Brown, he might be back tonight. Fingers crossed. So, man, I just think if Duke can play physical – especially defensively, both on the outside and the inside, they should be fine. They are the better team. However, Arizona is a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, and that means they're one of the best 16 teams in the country, and at this point, everybody's good. And if Duke doesn't play well, they're going to get beat. It's just plain and simple. It's tough to beat a team twice in 1 year. Yes, that was a long time ago. They have a scouting report on you. Duke's better than they were back then, but so are the Wild Kitties, so we'll see what happens.
Duke favored by 9.5. Seems a little rich.
It's nowhere near that. I can tell you that. It's either it could be if it's like a late foul game, but I think it's either going to be a nail biter or Duke wins it by 15. I think it's going to be one or the other.
All right, tonight, you want to weigh in on this game? Any thoughts before we move on to your boy Calipari?
No, I'm good. Duke should win. Just don't let Caleb Love get hot. And
easier said than done sometimes.
Yeah,
he's going to be launching those half-court threes before you know it. Kaiser Melly says, let me hear the expert, Mr. Thomas, thoughts on Texas Tech, Arkansas. So John Calipari watch, your former coach at Kentucky. Does he keep this thing rolling?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, but don't count John out in March because that hasn't been a recent theme.
Yeah, has that ever been a theme? Don't count out Calipari in March?
Well, back in his good old days. Yeah. That was the theme, but I don't know. But it's hard not to be happy for him now. At the start, I was like, oh, I hope they lose. I hope they lose. But now I'm like, it was a successful divorce for all 3 teams, BYU, Kentucky, and Arkansas, because Eric Musselman is out there losing in Los Angeles. So, but BYU, Sweet 16 team, new coach. Kentucky, Sweet 16 team, new coach, and then Arkansas. All 3 in the Sweet 16. But I'm not sure he has what it takes to beat JT Toppin, and I believe Texas Tech has been one of the most under-the-radar teams throughout this whole back half of the season, and I'm still not sure they get enough credit for being good. So, no, I'm going with Texas Tech. The fairy tale ends here for John.
Well, I think you're right, Brady, and everything you said, but I think part of the reason they flew under the radar was due to injuries. Well, guess what? They're healthy now.
Exactly.
They're a good basketball team.
Yeah, healthy at the right time. That's all that matters. Get it in the Sweet 16, and here we are. And
McCaslin's a heck of a coach, man. They're just gonna be a tough out with that style of play.
Yeah, Toppin is a great player as well.
All right, so there's your Thursday action. Friday, we'll take a brief look at. We'll discuss this more tomorrow, but I do have to give Brady his chance to weigh in on Kentucky. You're doing some writing for the Kentucky SB Nation site. They're playing Tennessee. 7:39 tip-off on Friday. Kentucky's won the first 2. Can they win a third in a row against the Vols in a huge spot?
Yep, I think we do. I'm not going to be biased or anything here because we won one game without a point guard inside Knoxville. We had Amari Williams, a 7'1" guy, playing point guard. And then we won another game without Andrew Carr, our big man, our 4 guy. And we were banged up both times we played them and won pretty easily, honestly. And everybody said it's hard to beat a team 3 times. We have a scouting report on this team. We've played them twice. We beat them twice. And to be honest, they're not very good on offense. So if we can hit some threes and tear apart their defense, I think we win. But you never know. Rick Barnes doesn't have the best March luck as well. So
you've got two teams that historically, once they get to this point, two coaches, definitely Rick Barnes with Tennessee and Kelvin Sampson with Houston. It's kind of a struggle from this point forward to close out a March run. Houston will play Purdue late Friday night. You also have Bruce Pearl in search of his first title with Auburn. They take on Michigan late Friday night, and Mississippi against Michigan State. Some great matchups, Philip. I know you gave us your Thursday game. Any of these Friday games really intrigue you?
Kind of Purdue, Houston, solely just from the fact of kind of what you just said about Houston and Tennessee. Also kind of applies to Purdue, it seems like.
Yeah.
So it's going to be kind of who emerges from that. I mean, I'll do a deeper dive into it tomorrow, I guess. We have more time and we're focused more on these games. But just kind of from like the quick listening to the rundown of the games, be like, okay, one of these teams, and I know they've made it, deep. I mean, Purdue made a national championship last year, but like you said, it always seems like these two teams don't get beat early, except for the one year that Purdue did. But normally they take care of business until it's time for the going to get tough, and then they both kind of fold.
All right, Lane Smith in the chat says, need Duke to win. I'll be posting up at Tiebreakers for opening day in basketball. So if you want to find Lane Smith and tell him how great ECU basketball is and why he should be more invested, make sure to make it out to Tiebreakers. He'll be there. But, yeah, should be an awesome sports evening for sure. We'll get our final break in. We'll take a look ahead to opening day. All of our favorite teams in action. Red Sox, Mariners here, and the Phillies for Brady. We'll discuss that. And give you a look at what Pirates will be in action today as well. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available, call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
If you are interested in living longer and living stronger, Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine is accepting new patients for a limited time. Finding a caring physician can be a challenge. Dr. Billy Smith is board certified in physical medicine and lifestyle medicine and has been practicing in the area for many years. Call for an appointment now to Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine, 252-364-1108 in Greenville. That number again is 252-364-1108.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
matey.
Back to the show with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, final segment here. The chat is open if you want to get any final thoughts in. Stephen Igo here, Brady Thomas, Philip Pilkington. Opening day has arrived. I kind of hate that we don't have a 1:05 first pitch. The first pitch of today is 3:05. Milwaukee and New York, the Yankees going at it. And I'm fired up for that, but I wish we had a 1 o'clock first pitch. The Mariners will be 10-10, the last first pitch of the night, man. Nothing like West Coast baseball when I'm dead tired, but I'll be up to watch it. Probably be disappointed again in the Mariners, but I'll at least watch opening day. Lane says Seattle better to win because I have them in my parlay. Lane, that was a terrible pick, but good luck. Never bet on the Mariners. He is a Phillies fan. Brady, you're a Phillies fan as well. We were kind of talking the other day. The Phillies, by the way, open up against the Nats. They'll face former ECU signee Mackenzie Gore. I feel like the Phillies window is closing. Like, they got to win a World Series in the next year or two, or it could get kind of rough.
I tweeted this morning, World Series a bust. This is the year. And the power rankings have us at 2, 3, and I just don't believe it, to be honest. I think we're a little worse than that. But
they're at least top 5.
Yeah.
Or borderline top 5 at worst, I would say.
Yeah, we just need a big season from Trey Turner. Was a pretty big disappointment down the stretch. But we got some guys that are phasing out. JT Realmuto phasing out, not very, very good on the offensive end anymore. Kyle Schwarber is getting old.
Y'all are just getting old in general, man. I'm looking at the Schwarber's 32, Trey Turner's about to be 32, Bryce Harper's 32, Alec Boehm, they're trying to trade him. He's 29. Max Kepler, y'all signed. He's 32. JT Realmuto's 34. Castellanos, 33.
Yeah, that's
the rotation. Zach Willer's 35. Aaron Nola's 32. They did get Luzardo, which I'm a big fan of, but I don't know. I just feel like they gotta win it.
Yeah, I know me and
they
you
are, I think, my World Series pick, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I know me and you have talked about. I just lost my thought.
The window.
I thought it was. I think I was going to say something about pitching, but Luzardo or spring training. I'm sorry. Luzardo did not have the best spring training, but I know me and you talked. It's not the best
barometer.
Yes. Yeah, I can't believe I just lost that. But yeah.
Yeah, but they'll pitch. They'll be good, and that division is crazy good. So it's just get into the playoffs and see what happens, to be honest.
All I can hope for. Not really banking on winning the division. It's always up in the air. We'll see how the Mets are this year. They love to disappoint, but we'll see.
Red Sox opening with the Rangers. Philip, or how are you feeling? This is kind of an interesting open series because the Rangers are a team that I don't really know what to expect. But Crochet on the mound, are you ready to see him in a Red Sox uniform?
I am ready to see him in a Red Sox uniform, and you always kind of hate pulling against Nate Eovaldi. He was our ace for a while, so
he's old as crap too. Speaking of old,
he is. I want to say this might only be. I think this is his first opening day start in a non-Red Sox uniform his entire career. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's right. So good to see him get the opening day start. It should be fun. I'm glad it worked out time-wise. We play at 4. Duke doesn't play till later. And also it worked out for you, Igo. I know it stinks starting at 10-10, but at least you've got 4 college basketball games. Well, I guess 3 will have started prior to the Mariners to keep you up between putting the kids down and the Mariners. Not like you're just sitting around there, twiddling your thumbs.
That is the one saving grace with the West Coast team. And now that I've followed the Nuggets as well more closely, they usually tip it off at 9. The Mariners usually throwing the first pitch out at 9:40 or 10:10. I know that there's nothing going on in my house, so if I want to focus on the game, I can. If I want to go to sleep, I can. It just it's kind of a nice, peaceful evening, so to speak. And Mariners up with the A's. Logan Gilbert on the mound, potential Cy Young candidate. We'll see. I'm sure they'll either win or lose 2-1. Just every Mariners game. The Marlins, we'll see Clayton McCullough. He will make his debut as manager, obviously without Connor Norby, who unfortunately is on the IL due to oblique. We'll see how long he misses. But the pitching matchup, guys, Sandy Alcantara coming back from injury and Paul Skeens. Like for Pirates-Marlins, a series that I would not really care about, I'm going to be watching some of this. I know you are as well, Philip.
Yeah, man. I'm going to have 2 TVs up most of the day. Obviously needing it for tonight, but Seeing the former Pirates play against the Pirates or manage against the Pirates, I guess will be fun. But, it is to the point now where we do have legit guys in the bigs, and you want to kind of tune in anytime they're pitching. Me and Parker will try and get together a lot of times if Gavin's starting a game and watch him play. So, I'm excited. I said before the year I'm going to be on the Marlins bandwagon. Not that there's much to be on because they're probably going to lose 100 games, but just to see how Clayton does, and it's going to be fun. And obviously, anytime you get a chance, excuse to go watch Paul Skeens pitch, you have to, right? We got our livery counters ready the same way we have our T Swift counters ready for the game.
That'll be a 4:10 first pitch. Yeah, I'm looking at the Marlins lineup now. Good gracious, that's something.
Mm-hmm.
Mervis hitting cleanup, whoever that is, and O. Lopez hitting fifth. So, that'll be a 4:10 first pitch. Other Pirates in action, Gavin Williams will make his season debut Saturday against the Kansas City Royals. Obviously, Sean Armstrong with the Rangers. He could be pitching against Phillips Sox. You also have Jeff Hoffman with the Blue Jays. They are in action today in the early window. I think 3 o'clock they take on Baltimore, so maybe he'll close out his first save as a Blue Jay.
Sorry, Bobby.
Yep. Mackenzie Gore. Mike Trout, if you're into this too, Mike Trout, one-time Pirate signee, and Logan O'Hoppe, the Angels catcher, another one-time signee. You could have a heck of a team with a former Pirates / signee. Just on Alec Burleson also in action. Cardinals opening their season against the Minnesota Twins, 4:15. All right, Brady, we're out of time, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.
Good luck to Kentucky. Check out his work on the Kentucky SB Nation site along with the Hoist Colors. Philip, good luck to your Red Sox and the Duke Blue Devils. We'll be back 12 noon Friday to break it all down and talk with Bobby Harvard. See you then.